What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down two of the worst bad habits that quarterbacks can fall into in terms of their lower body mechanics and their upper body mechanics. So we're going to be showing a bad example of a quarterback throwing and then a good example of Bryce Young making a throw. Okay, so first bad habit that quarterbacks get into is that this back leg loves to get too wide. Okay, so now don't do this drill. I'm just 100% honest with you. This drill that they're doing right now, do not do this. Okay, so we're going to play this full speed. So watch how that back leg trails way behind his motion. Now, the problem with that is that as your base gets too wide, you're not able to transfer weight and you're not able to get your hips to rotate completely through. So that's the first bad habit the quarterbacks get into, is that their back foot gets too wide. Now, why is that bad? So quarterback, it's all about weight transfer. It's all about hip rotation, right? So your back leg should not be way outside of your frame. Now, everybody loves to talk about, oh, you want a wide base. You want to have a wide base. Drew Brees had a wide base, right? Yes, he had a wide base, but that back leg was underneath his shoulder. You could still have a good base. You could still have a wide base if this back foot is on the inside of this hash mark. Reason being, you have more weight to this back leg. Right now, his base is about 50-50. The problem with that is that the timing of his sequence is off. So what do I mean by that? So when he goes to throw, yeah, he's got a real quick stride. But you see when he takes that ball back, all of his weight is already onto that front foot. That throws off the timing of your sequence. So AKA, that means your shoulders end up going through before your hips. You do not want to ever get to this spot right here, because when your back leg trails behind like this and your back knee extends out simply because you have too much weight on your front foot because your back leg was too wide, that's going to put a lot of stress on your elbow and a lot of stress on your shoulder. You never want your back leg trailing behind like that. And that is simply correlated to that back foot being too wide. Because think about it, if your back foot's way outside your frame like that, can you put more than 50, maybe 60% of your weight on that back leg? No, you can't, because your shin or your knee is angled inward. But if you close that back foot down a tad, you could really sit on that back leg, sit into that glute, and be able to transfer your weight forward. When you look at all quarterbacks when they throw, watch Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Tom Brady, they all have that weight shifted on that back leg, and that back leg is underneath their frame. They still have a wide base, but it's underneath their back shoulder. Because now, when you guys do this, that weight can't transfer. You have no more weight transfer because your front foot is already too heavy. You already have 50% of your weight over there. So guess what? That hip drive doesn't go. That front hip does not rotate through, and then you have your shoulders beat your hips. That's like a baseball player swinging with just his shoulders, not letting his hips rotate through. Or that's like a golfer just keeping his feet in the ground, moving the club and hitting without pivoting his back foot. We got to make sure that that back foot's underneath my back shoulder so I can get that hip rotation and get my hips to beat the ball. You want this back hip to go through before the ball. The sequence of the throw should be front stride, then your hips, then your shoulders, then the ball. Now, but because we have the back foot too wide, it goes front stride, then shoulders, then ball, and then the back foot trails behind. We're not pivoting through. We have to make sure that we get my front hip to open up on this thing, okay? So I'll play it full speed. Now we're going to be taking a look at this throw here from Bryce Young, where his back foot is in the exact correct spot. So you see how Bryce Young's back foot is underneath his back shoulder. So why is that important, okay? But before we take a look at that, fellas, I want to talk to you about a great opportunity we were having this offseason. We were traveling to 9 different locations for 2-day quarterback and wide receiver training camps. So if you guys are a quarterback or a wide receiver and want to come out, get some great work in with us in Tampa, Florida, Houston, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona, Newark, New Jersey, Atlanta, Georgia, Chicago, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, and Los Angeles, California, check out that very first link in the description below. We're traveling to 9 different locations this offseason. I'm really excited to get out there. I wouldn't even necessarily call these camps. These are more like clinics because we are limiting the spots. There's only going to be about 10 to 12 guys per position group because we're going to actually take the time to develop you. Every single rep you're going to be coached. Every single rep you're going to be watching your mechanics. It's not going to be like one of these big quarterback universe camps where we just run you through the drills and our goal is to make a bunch of money. We're actually there trying to get you better. So if you guys want some more information on our camps, what we're going to be working on, how you guys can sign up, because spots are limited due to just, we have a bigger size following, and so a lot of people are interested in these camps. Check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to meet you guys. We'd love to get you out there for our camps. We're going to be doing 1-on-1, 7-on-7, and positional work for 2 days in those 9 locations. Very first link in that description below. Let's get back to this video. So now, Bryce Young here. Same thing I was talking about, right? So where is his back leg? You see his back foot again, and look what he has. He has that wide base that everybody loves to talk about, right? Just the back foot is in a better position for him to transfer weight and for him to open up his front hip. So you see how that back foot has got about 70% of the weight on it now. Everybody loves to say you want to be 50-50, 60-40. I say 70 or 75 on the back leg because that transfer to the front foot is what gets your hips to rotate through. So let's talk about it. So look at how light his front foot is, and his back foot is underneath his shoulder. So now when he goes to shift that weight forward, like they were just working on that coach and his quarterback, when he goes to shift that weight forward, look what that back knee does. That back knee turns through. And look what goes through before the ball. The back hip is going through before the ball. That back leg is not extending. This is the spot that we want to get to. They call that a C curve right here. Some people like to call it the biomechanics guys. That back knee just needs to come through. And that back hip needs to come through before the football, and the front hip needs to open up. But when you have all your weight on that front leg, imagine his back foot being all the way out here like the clip we just showed you, and that front foot has a ton of weight on it. You're not going to be able to rotate at this hip. That back leg is going to trail behind, and that's going to make you lose power. So the worst habit that you could get into is having too wide of a back foot when you throw, because you're going to have too much weight on the front side of your body. And when you have too much weight on the front side of your body, your sequence will be off. The timing of your sequence will be off. The hips will not be able to go through before the shoulders, and you will lack torque. It's like a golfer just swinging with his arms. You got to make sure that we get the lower half involved. So make sure that that back leg is underneath your back shoulder. We absorb the weight on the back leg, and my goal is to shift the weight to the front leg. That's what creates the front stride. Get the back knee to turn through, get that back foot to pivot, however you want to think of it, but mainly get the hip to go through before the ball and let the front hip open up. Now we're going to be talking about the upper body mechanics and some of the mistakes that quarterbacks make. So let's watch it full speed. And obviously, Bryce Young's got a ton of velocity on the ball. He can make all the throws on the field. So watch his mechanics. Try to correlate to your game what some of the best in the game do, okay? That's the whole thing we built this channel on. That's what we try to focus on, okay? So now, we're going to be talking about the front side mechanics here now. So this is one of the most heavily miscoached things in the game of football. And again, we've all done it, right? The game constantly evolves. People constantly find innovative new ways to improve people's skills. And again, the best way you can do that, like let's say you're a guy, maybe you don't have a quarterback coach. Maybe you watch these videos as your form of training, right? Because I know a lot of you guys do that. Or maybe you just learn on yourself. That's what I had to do, right? Because I couldn't afford the $1,000 a session quarterback coaches, right? You have to learn from the best guys in the world. When I was a kid, I could not afford just going to all these different quarterback coaches. I know some kids that have like 8 different quarterback coaches. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's like if you're learning, try to watch what the best guys in the world do and try to equate some of those key similarities all of them do to your own game. That's what we try to focus on here, right? So when this quarterback throws, I want you to pay very close attention to what his front side does. Then we're going to be looking at another clip from Bryce Young. So watch what his front side does here. One of the most miscoached things in the world is what that front arm should do in the throwing motion and how that can affect your accuracy. So you see Bryce Young. He keeps that thing here and he stays square with the upper body. Now watch the other quarterback throw. When he goes to throw here, watch what he does with this front side. That front side swings all the way open and he rotates and replaces. Now, front hand stays tight. Everybody coaches that front hand staying up by your chest. That's something that all quarterback coaches agree on. Nobody ever wants this front hand to be low. But that shoulder is one of the most miscoached things ever, because look where his shoulders and his hips are parallel to. They're parallel over here. That means there's no snap. There's no torque to the throw. He's swinging his front side out of there. So every time that we go to throw, your body, think of it, you're on a midline. Right? So your back is on a midline. And actually it is in real life, because you have a spine, right? So whatever your front side does, your right side's going to do, because it affects the midline. So when we go to throw and we get to this position, quarterback's spine is based a little bit wide like we were talking about, but we won't focus on that. And a lot of this is correlated, but watch what he does when he gets to this point. Right here, he should be trying to stay square to the throw. His hips and his shoulders should stay parallel to exactly where he wants this thing to go. And he wants this thing to go here, so his hips and his shoulders should stay there. But he keeps swinging this front side out. So when you're on this midline and your front side goes this way, what do you think your release is going to do? Your release is going to go this way because it flies off the midline. I'll draw it right here. Like, let's say this is a person. You got both arms right here. If your front side goes this way, what do you think your arm's going to do? It's going to go this way. If you're on a midline and your front arm goes down, what do you think your release is going to do? It's going to go up. All of that is equated to that front side discipline, right? So when that quarterback takes that front shoulder and starts to swing it out, what happens to his arm? There's a disconnect there. His arm is going outside of this frame, and that can affect accuracy. If you're a quarterback who maybe doesn't have as much velocity on the throw or likes to miss right to left, check your front arm. Make sure we're not swinging this thing all the way around. A lot of people think that you swinging your front arm can give you power like this. It doesn't give you as much power. Yes, it might give you power, but you're going to be inconsistent. What will give you more power is if you focus on that back leg being under your frame, your weight shifted back. This quarterback has a little too much weight shifted forward, but you being able to let your hips rotate through, and when you can stay square to the throw, like right here, he should be just pulling that hand to his chest, or that chest should be going to his front hand and he should stay square. That gives you that snappiness. That gives you that torque to the throw that everybody loves to talk about. You hear a lot of quarterback coaches say, oh, that guy's real twitchy. That guy's a real snappy throwing motion. That's what that means, being able to stay square with that upper half. So let's watch this full speed one more time. Again, fellas, make sure we're not swinging the front shoulder out of there. A lot of people teach that for power, but this is where we want to get to. So now we look at Bryce Young here, right? So when he goes to make this throw, when he's rotating through, it could be very easy. This is the same position that other quarterback was to, but what happens after that, right? That other quarterback swung this all the way around, but look where Bryce finishes on this thing. He keeps it completely square. He stays level with his shoulders, level with his hips, square to the target. Now look at his release point. His release point is at that perfect 90, and he's going to have the ability to change up arm slots like everybody loves to talk about, but his shoulders and his hips stay square, and that hand goes to his chest. I've heard Tom Brady talk about this. Something he likes to think about is he says, I'm going to bring my right shoulder to my front hand. So that focuses on him staying square, because he had a problem with that. You look at old film of Tom Brady, he loves to swing his front side out of there, but now he doesn't. And he's a lot more consistent, a lot more accurate of a passer when it comes to these like off-platform, awkward type throws, and that's the name of the game these days. So being able to have that hand stay to that chest, stay square with the upper body, this is the position we want to get to, because that allows you to stay on the midline. When you swing that shoulder out this way, you fall off the midline and your release will swing out wide. Bring that chest to your front hand, stay square with your shoulders, square with your hips, and let the weight transfer and hip drive, like we talked about with the base in the very beginning of the video, rotate you through, not the upper half. You're a rotational athlete as a quarterback. How you rotate efficiently is let your hips rotate and your upper body stays square. And then you look at this throw from Bryce Young, same thing, staying nice and square, release points in a good spot, snapping that wrist, because again, he takes the ball back, chest goes to front hand, stays nice and square, and he's a more accurate passer because of it. Let's watch those two throws one more time. Great job staying square and showing a perfect example of being square and how that can tie into accuracy. So two common mistakes, fellas. You want to avoid having a super wide base like this quarterback does right here. You want to avoid swinging the front side out of there, and you want to make sure that back leg's under your back shoulder and that front hand or chest is coming to your front hand, and you stay square to the throw for a good release point, but also to get a more snappy whip-like motion, okay? All right, guys, I hope this helped you guys out. If you have any questions on this, don't hesitate to leave in the comment section below. We'll get back to you as soon as I can. Always appreciate the feedback, and obviously it's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you guys would like to come out to one of our 9 different camps we are having this offseason, from Tampa all the way to Los Angeles, you want our complete travel list, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to get you out there. Again, spots are limited because of interest due to this camp. We do not want to have about 200 guys out there. It's not going to be super crowded. We're limiting spots, so I hope you guys could check that out. Very first link below. I'll see you guys next time.